Okay, coming up are some tips on how you guys out there can get sponsored in skimboarding or really anything else, so stay tuned. Welcome back everybody. This little video is kind of a follow-up from a video I did quite a long time ago on how to not get sponsored in skimboarding, and this video is here to help you with the how-tos of skimboarding. Now first up, a little bit about my own background in skimboarding. I started OXS Skimboards here in New Zealand in 2008 after scouring the internet looking for product here. Basically grew the company. I'm self-employed. I've been heavily involved with skimboarding here, and I've travelled to America, Canada, as well as Australia a couple of times just to pursue skimboarding interests in the past. So I've seen a wide variety of riding styles, scenes, all that sort of thing from around parts of the world. Sponsorships is something that I do get approached to about very often, a lot more often than you'd think. My company is very small, but I have learned a lot about sponsorships, how to deal with people, the how to give and sort sponsorships, the how to cancel sponsorships. Now next up on the list is of course what exactly is a sponsorship. Now I'm going to talk from my perspective. If I myself am wanting a sponsorship, whether it be through something like skimboarding, but basically anything in general, what I'm wanting from a personal aspect is something for myself. That's why I want to be sponsored. Possibly a team environment, you want to be part of a team, something like that. There's a monetary or product value to yourself. That is why you're wanting to be sponsored. Right, now what exactly a sponsorship is and where it comes from a company's perspective is, as a skimboarding company, a sponsorship to me means you as a sponsored rider are going to be adding value, potential sales. I say potential sales because those numbers are very sort of indirect, very flexible, but what I'm looking for you is to add value to my company. Now this is a far more important aspect than what you actually want from the sponsorship, because there's got to be a return on investment. I'm outlaying product and or money towards you, so what I'm wanting is something in return. If I can't multiply my investment into you in terms of money, if I can't multiply that by however many times I see fit, you are of absolutely no interest to the company. And this is skimboarding companies, this is any sponsorship value anywhere in the world for basically anything. They are looking for a return on investment. Now not every company needs to sponsor people, not every company feels they have to sponsor people. Multi-million-dollar sports investments around the world basically consist of eyeballs. It's an eyeballs thing. If there's millions of people watching you, following you, your worth, your return on investment to a company is going to be much higher than someone who isn't basically seen anywhere. And that's just the truth. That's the hard line, bottom line of what an actual sponsorship is. Okay, and this is very important. Of course, this is the how to get sponsored. This is how this is how some people go about it. Very few, I'm going to say probably about 5% of people actually go around it. You need to make, when you message a company, because I'm assuming you're probably not messaging just the one, you need to make a very strong first impression. Do not DM them through social media or something with a poorly written one line message saying like, hey, do you sponsor people? This is a terrible first impression. Basically what we are looking for from a company's perspective is someone unique, someone stand out. We're not looking for just an average person to sponsor. There's millions of them. We could potentially sponsor everyone if we wanted to. You need to stand out. Every company, well pretty much every company, sponsors people for different things, different aspects. You need to understand this. Do not hit up any companies with a one-line message for a first impression. Put something together. Now I'm talking, I would probably write this down, put a few notes together. Get something together. If you have a YouTube, if you have social media, if you have, well basically everyone does. If you do not, I will probably not sponsor you. Just on that alone, you would have to be very talented to be sponsored these days without any social media accounts. That's just the way it is. That's how we promote. That's how a company sees their investment, which is you. That's how a company shares their investment and gets it seen and is hopefully going to get a return on their investment. That's how the whole social media thing works with sponsorships. So what you can do is collect all your information, all your online links, put it together in a PDF or something, some form. Even you could do a video such as this on you, about you, with all your links. Put it together however you see fit. This is how I do it when I've approached companies in the past about certain things. You need to have all the information there. Don't have a dribble. Like, this video is probably going to turn into a whole heap of dribble. You can cut most of that out. But you need to have all the information there, very clear. Spell it right. Use punctuation. Use all the stuff that no one wants to use anymore, and actually sound intelligent, very direct, and be to the point. Don't beat around the bush of what you're actually there for, and have all your information, so what I can look into quickly and easily as a potential investment into my company, which is you, the sponsored rider. Do not approach companies with I'll have to go get some attitude, like that's what a lot of people do. I'll have to go get some photos, or I'll have to go do this, have to go do that. I've lost interest by now. It's first impression counts. Sponsorships a lot of the time too as well aren't something that you can approach me with. Chances are with something as small as skimboarding, and especially in something a very small country like New Zealand, I probably already know about you if you're good. If you're a strong rider, if you're a good rider, if you've been riding for a couple of years, chances are I already know about you. And most sponsorships come from the way of the company reaching out, not the rider. To all you young kids, which I typically get I would say probably the biggest age demographic would be something about probably 13 to 16-year-old boys. Obviously skimboarding's mainly a male thing. If it is your first summer skimboarding in New Zealand, I am not interested. Purely on that alone, just by the fact that 99% of you give up. You haven't skimmed a winter, you haven't gotten cold. Most people who approach me, 99% of sponsorships this year are not skimming by next year. So if it's your first summer skimboarding, don't bother. That's just the truth of it. Okay, and skill. Now I didn't cover this first typically, because skill is not actually the first thing I look for. It's a first impression and everything about how you can be seen, how I can get some return on my investment in you. That's typically the first thing I look for. But of course, skill. Now I'm saying this is going to be probably a pretty bit of a touchy part of the video, but what I mean here by having a high skill level is just because I can ride a bike doesn't mean I need a bike riding sponsorship. I'm getting far too many people asking me for sponsorships, and dare I say it, their riding is terrible. I'm getting people at the level of where, say you're learning to surf and you've just learned how to stand up on a surfboard, that sort of level, like you ride a bike and all you can do is pedal. It's gotten to the point where it's becoming almost a joke. Now that's not saying everyone is doing that, but just because you can do a pop shove or a 360 spin, it actually just no. You need to basically check yourself before you wreck yourself here. Do a lot of self-analyzing and actually probably reach out and actually find out how good you are at skimboarding. If you're a flatland skimboarder and you don't hit rails, I'm not interested at all. You're not even getting, there's no point in even trying. Wave riders, if you're not at wave riding spots around New Zealand, I'm just not interested, sorry. You need to be very self-aware of your own skill level here. I cannot highlight that enough. If you think you're good enough, I would probably have a look at some videos online, look at content that's floating around the internet. If you're not on a comparable level, just don't. You're wasting your own time, you're wasting my time, you're wasting any company's time. Now that is a very harsh perspective, but that's just the way it is. So in summary of how to get sponsored in skimboarding, not just in skimboarding, but basically anything in general, first and foremost, before you put anything formal together for companies, even though I touched on it last, I'm going to touch on it first here, is you need to check yourself, and you need to be very self-aware of your own ability and strengths. The level of riding in New Zealand has certainly declined over the last probably 5 years or so, to a point where I am certainly probably just not interested in general because of that. If you are a strong rider, there's a handful, and I'm talking a handful of guys I know about in New Zealand that are either A, sponsored, or B, team involved or worthy of being sponsored. The rest of you need to really step your game up. This means practice, this means skimming. I'm looking for people that are very passionate about skimboarding and very good. There is no set skill level, there's no list of tricks you must have, which is something also that I've been asked in the past. There's none of that. Just get better and compare yourself, go to online sources and compare yourself to the pro riders online and get some idea, because a lot of you are probably only about 10% of the way there. Again, that's just a very truthful opinion. And if you feel like you are there, then put something together, put something formal in writing, maybe do a video, do something to set you apart from the crowd of people just going, oh hey, can I get sponsored? This is very important. First impression is everything. You can type up something very generic that you're sending out to lots of companies, because I mean, why not? Obviously get the details right. I get people asking me from America about sponsorships, not even knowing that this company here is in New Zealand, and just clueless. So do the research on the company you're approaching, actually sound like you're interested, and actually try to sound like you're somewhat intelligent is very important, because like I said, a company is looking for someone with a little bit of spark, a little bit of difference, and someone unique. That is it for this video. It's probably a bit of a ramble, but it also has some details in there about how you guys out there could possibly get sponsored. I am not looking currently in New Zealand to sponsor anyone, so keep that in mind. I do want you guys out there skimming, and I would like to see an increase in skill level around the country, which has certainly fallen backwards in the last 5 years. So if that sounds like a bit of you, and you may or may not want to be sponsored, do feel free, even though I'm not really looking, but feel free to take some of these tips, especially if you've seen this video. Mention that you've seen this video, forward me something through if you like. There'll be all the details are down below. That's it. I'm Sam Price, I'll see you at the beach.
You probably had a lot of rappers say next. I stay vexed, I ain't hesitant. If La La was a country, I'd be the fucking president.